Welcome to World Affairs. I'm your host, Marina Kofa. And today I would like to welcome honorable guest who is world-renowned entrepreneur, businessman, and politician. The first, the second, and the only Iranian-American politician in the state of California, who was Beverly Hills mayor, elected the first time in March 2007 and re-elected in March 2010. Please welcome Jimmy Del Shah. Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for joining World Affairs show today. It's a true honor to have you here today. And I would like to start from the beginning. How was to be a child growing up in Iran in the 1940s?
What a deep question. You're starting off strong already. It was at times very painful, at times very joyful. Some of it was because I was growing up in a culture that was mostly Islamic at that time, even though the government at that time was the Shah, and he was very open-minded with everybody else. But depending where you live, I lived in a city of Shiraz, and at that time was a little difficult to live. But the memories that I have from Iran and from Shiraz are beautiful, great place. I wish someday I could go back and visit all the places that I grew up. So it's bittersweet.
Bittersweet, yeah. So you decide to come to the United States to study. What triggered this decision?
I have to go back a little bit, talk about part of my childhood was I had a mother that was at that time a student and a graduate of an American college in Iran. She knew English very well, and she was from city of Tehran. And when she got married, she came to Shiraz, and she decided to help educate girls, because even at that time, people did not allow girls to study. They had different position. You got to get married, have kids, work in the kitchen, and all of that. And she was so open-minded that she took the house that we had like this, and she removed all furnitures, and then she would go house to house and talk to the families and says, your daughter should be educated too, not just the boys. So she was so open-minded and loved education that she would bring in the kids, and all girls, and she would teach them not only Farsi, she would teach them English, she would teach them math, everything that was possible. So her mind was always, you got to educate yourself, you got to learn more. So that was the background behind me coming to America, because she was always saying, really, the higher education, it's not good for you in Iran. It's not enough, because being Jewish sometimes is limited how far you can go in education. You can go some places, but it was always limited. So she always encouraged me and my brothers to go somewhere. And I really wanted to go to France, because I learned French at school, and I wanted to go to France. But one of my brothers came to America, and he started writing to us, oh, America is so great, it's so beautiful, and all of that. I said, but I've learned French, now English. My mother taught us some English, but not enough to go to college. So I changed and I studied English, and he says, oh, by the way, you play santur. In America, you gotta play guitar.
Okay. So how
So
was
put
it
the
to play
santur
santur?
away, bring the santur back, go play guitar. So I went to classes in guitar playing and singing with them and all of that. And so that's what happened. I decided to follow him and come to America. Now, I don't know where would I go to America? You could go to any state, right? But when I sent my paperwork to the school, the first school that admitted me and accepted me was University of Minnesota. So I ended up going to Minneapolis and study there. I came there to just get higher education, graduate. At that time, I always wanted to be an engineer, electrical, electronics, something in that area. So that's where I ended up in Minneapolis, Minnesota. But after a year, after freezing my tushy and freezing my face and nose and ears, I decided that's just too cold. The weather in Minnesota is nowhere like in Iran or Shiraz or Tehran. So decided to come west, take the car and drive west to end up in California.
Right. And of course, you still playing some tour, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I see.
And how was the beginning in California? The change from Minneapolis to California?
It was very different. There were some Persians here, Iranians. I'm going to mix it up. Persian, Iranian is the same. So I hope I don't insult anybody by saying, Iranian or Persian. Persians like to talk to themselves as Persians because it refers to the Persian Empire.
Correct.
Persia has such a long and deep relationship and history that we want to do that. When you say Iranian, in America, people get mixed up. Is it Iraqi or is it Irani? So in order to stay away from that, they refer to themselves as Persians and not Iranian. But now with everything that's going on in America, in the world, everybody talks about Iranian, and that's a well-known name for Persians or Iranian. So when I came to California, there weren't that many Iranians here, very few. Maybe 40, 50 families. So because I played music, everybody was inviting me to their homes with my brothers. So we got to know a lot of people and go many places. So it was very welcoming. The weather was fantastic. And I decided to continue my education here and graduated as basically a scientist, but more in electronics and computer sciences.
And then you moved from business and computer science into politics. What triggered that change?
What actually happened was started working for other companies as electronic computer science engineer, and I was pretty successful. And at one point I decided to go on my own, start my own company. And I invented some technologies, and because of those inventions, I got a citizenship. Because the companies I was working for applied for my residency, and after that get my green card and they become a citizen. So when I became a citizen, I worked on my own company, and the company was very successful in electronics, in computer sciences and all, and I had offices in other places, from China to Germany, to Israel, to London, many places. And as a result of that, I got pretty well known as a businessman, to the point that people said, you have created this. You ought to take advantage of that and step it up to do something different. So, and I think that was the point. In my life, I've always looked for challenge, and I love to break a ceiling, any ceiling. What else can I do? They said, well, why don't you get involved in communities? Like what? Non-profit organizations. So I joined school. My kids were going to school, and the school is called Sinai Akiba School, which belongs to a synagogue or a temple called Sinai Temple. And they said, you got to be involved with your kids' life. I said, you know what? I make money, I pay the teachers, I pay the school. Let them teach the kids. They said, no, that's not enough. The kids need you to be part of their lives. I didn't know that. Coming from Iran, I was not really educated to be a person of giving to the community, volunteerism. I said, what do you want me to do? They said, you got to volunteer at the school, go to the classes, go to the teachers and all that. So doing that, people saw, oh, he's got a lot of knowledge and all that. So I got involved in being on a committees, chairman of a committee, then vice president this. And then I saw a ceiling that I wanted to break because it was a challenge. This synagogue or a temple is really not just a temple. It's got two schools, it's got two cemeteries, it's a big organization. And for 100 years, all of the presidents and people like that were European, your kind of people.
Yeah.
Polish and all of that. So I said, I want to be the first of the Iranians to run this synagogue. It was very hard because I ran 3 times and I lost. Because they had everything for me, but they said, you just are a Persian. They don't know what you're going to do if you become a president. They don't know you're going to be starting a bazaar here, or you're going to do a teaching here. You're going to do this. So I didn't give up. I had learned something that when you go ask to sell something, my product and all that, usually the answer was no. But I will look at the no as not a no. I will look at it in my head as not now. Mm-hmm. So every time was a no, I would say not now. I keep repeating and repeating until the time changes and the not now becomes now. So I learned that, and I was teaching board of directors, people, what I had learned. And I finally became the president, chairman of the schools and all of that, which requires a lot of time and effort. Actually, when I became the president of that synagogue or the school and all that, I sold my electronic company because I couldn't do both. I'm not like Elon Musk. He can do so many things at one time. He's a genius. But everybody had a bandwidth. So I sold the company, I ran the synagogue, and I became very well known. A lot of people that are members of that synagogue also live in Beverly Hills, live around, well-to-do people. So after the presidency, a guy from Beverly Hills came and says, Jimmy, you're very popular here, you do all of this thing. Why don't you do something in your city? I said, like what? He says, like becoming the mayor. I said, aha, maybe. So I looked into it. I said, you know what? That's also breaking a ceiling. There hasn't been no Persian mayor in America. And I wanted to break that ceiling. So I studied everything possible. I put everything aside for a whole year, went to every commission, every committee meeting, everything. So they said, why are you doing this? I said, because I'm going to win. How do you know? I said, I just see myself as the mayor. I don't see myself as a loser. So when I get there, I want them to know that I know things about here. That was a really challenge. Nobody thought I would win.
And you won twice.
I won once, and then I decided to run again because there were people thinking that it was an accident that he won.
Oh.
So I wanted to prove that it wasn't coincidence, it wasn't an accident, it was done on purpose. So I said, I'm going to run again to prove to those people. And I ran again and won, second time even better than the first time. Then decided, I've run twice, I don't want to run again, because what am I going to prove after the second time? Actually, the reason I didn't run was something strange. There are a lot of newspapers, magazines, all that, they write about the mayor all the time.
Right.
But there was one reporter that was always like, jabbing me. Oh, Mr. Mayor didn't do that, Jimmy didn't do that, he didn't go here, or he went there, he did this. One day he came to see my office. It was about a week left for me to decide, do I run for a third term or not? So he came and said, Mr. Mayor, I said, oh my God, he's gonna write something so bad after all of this time. He said, I know I haven't been kind to you. I always challenged you. But I'm asking you to run again. I said, why? You were always doing that. He says, because you have 85% approval rating. And the city needs you, and we need you to please run. So I said to myself, if I have 85% approval, why do I need to run again? I'm going to live on the high, not on the low. So that day, I decided I'm not going to run. And I left it like that. And thank God, people are still remembering me as a foreign mayor, as a mayor.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And it was interesting because I decided not to run, but the city council, which is, the sitting mayors and all the council, they asked me to remain as like a spokesman for the Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
So they gave me formally the title of ambassador of Beverly Hills. So I became an ambassador of Beverly Hills. I have a business card that says Goodwill Ambassador of Beverly Hills. And I still go to many commissions, different places, help people that are running and promote the city of Beverly Hills, because what I did was international. I didn't look at Beverly Hills as a little city that I gotta be there and just, I said, no, I came here. There must be a reason I came here. I said, what do I do? Wow. I used my technology background and I said, I'm gonna change Beverly Hills as just a city of luxury and stars and money and all that. I'm gonna make it a smart city. What the hell is smart city? Nobody had talked about smart city at that time. No city. Now you talk about any city, they are talking about smart city. Even companies started talking about smart technology. So I brought about 10, 12 technology ideas to city of Beverly Hills. I said, that's what I'm gonna do. And because of that, I even trademarked the city, smart city for Beverly Hills. Oh. And my business card said smart city and everything else smart city. And those technologies brought safety, because they have cameras, but you can have cameras that are very intelligent cameras.
They will follow, for example? Right?
They have software that can decide if something is wrong. So the police doesn't have to sit. If the camera with the software knows something, a package is left there for 5 minutes, 10 minutes,
Well, not the
nobody's around. It triggers the police
That's
to watch
amazing,
this
yeah.
one. Or software that ties all the cameras together. So I did a lot of that. I became known as the smart mayor, and decided not to run. Use that smart city, created a commission to talk about smart ideas. I said everybody has smart ideas, so they came in, and that was a big thing to do for Beverly Hills.
What were the biggest challenges as a mayor?
Biggest
To
challenge
run the
was
city.
my biggest challenge was to convince people to follow my ideas, because they didn't know what is he talking about. Give you an example. The zip code of Beverly Hills, famous 90210.
Yes.
Okay, if you look at 90210, September 2nd, 2010 becomes 90210.
Wow.
So I decided on September 2nd, 2010 to create a biggest site and called it 90210 Day. Brought all of the people from the shows, the 90210 show that was very famous. I brought all the stars, then I brought all the restaurants to teach, to show the taste of Beverly Hills. I even brought a group of Iranians that they brought the taste of Persia. So we had all kind of stuff like that. And some of the people, former mayors, would be really challenging me. Why are you doing this? What are you doing? I said, one time in my lifetime, your lifetime is going to be that the September 2nd, 2010 becomes 90210. You're not going to have it again. Celebrate it and talk about Beverly Hills. So I said, okay, we'll do that. Then I created a platform for the roses and so forth. So we made a song. I invited some songwriters to write Beverly Hills 90210 song, and singing it, promoting it, and all that. So I did things like that.
You branded it.
Yeah, it was totally branding the Smart City Plus. I say if a city is smart, then you will be a healthy city. You will be also a safe city. All of that. If you got to do smart cities. Actually, it came to my mind when once I was walking. I was just running for Beverly Hills, and I passed by the city hall, and it was a rainy day, but the sprinklers were working. I said, okay, is that smart or is that stupid?
Right.
So I said, there are things like that that we can change and make it smart. So I built on that, doing smart this, smart cameras, smart this, smart
Sprinklers.
sprinklers. Actually, we did. All the houses in Beverly Hills now have, sprinklers that are attached to internet. If it's raining, the sprinkler won't work.
Very
Or
good.
if it's gonna rain, or it's wet, it won't do it. So a lot of things like that. So the challenge was to get people to believe in these things and invite a lot of people to promote Beverly Hills as an international city. Actually, it is. If you talk about 5 cities in the world, New York, Paris, London, one of them is going to be Beverly Hills, even though the smallest of all. So the knowledge of Beverly Hills is very famous. So if you do something there, good or bad, everyone will know. My challenge was to do more than just the sitting mayor. Just do something extraordinary.
And you still continue, like November 7th, you were supporting Iranian people, I saw.
Yes.
And especially now, there's a lot of tension. What do you think can be done?
I have a really deep feeling for the Persian people, especially ladies, girls, young ladies that finally woke up. Like my mother was doing that. It's, they have to learn, they have to this. You don't need to have a hijab, cover your hair, cover this. Let them Let them be themselves. So they are taking over this revolution. It's going to be a revolution. They can talk about it that it's not, but it's going to be revolution, because all of the other times that Iran had problems with the government, there were groups of people. Now it's not just a group of people. It's all of the girls, all of the ladies, and it's international. Everyone can relate to that. How could you not allow this girl to study or to do this or to do that? And why would a lady have a second level position compared to a man? You know, they're not supposed to even have nails of all
No
kinds.
polish.
Nothing, no lipstick, no nails, no this, no that. Cover everything, cover this. Otherwise, they beat them up. I hope it will get changed to allow equal rights to women. Believe it or not, I believe a lot of leaders, there are better leaders in the world that are women than men. They have proven themselves, from prime ministers of Israel, India, other Europe, right?
Yes, there's a lot of going on in the world right now, especially the war in Ukraine. What do you think about that? How is this affecting global economy and everything else?
That's another sad point in our lives, but I don't think that it was a coincidence. Russia had this plan of taking over part of Ukraine, not only because they really needed it, it's just because they think Soviet Union was big and they wanted to go back to that position. So the first thing to do is go next to our border and start that and fight with them. Right now, Iran even is helping Russia against Ukraine, which is also a very unjust war to do that to the people of Ukraine. So I hope Russia gets to a point that realizes that this is not a just war. He's not going to win. He may win some parts and take some parts, but he's going to lose the hearts of all the people in the world and Ukraine and European and all that. Because if they're successful there, who knows, they're not going to go somewhere else.
Since you supported a lot of nonprofit organizations, in your opinion, how do you think the world should come together to fight extreme poverties?
It's not going to end. Unfortunately, poverty will be here. It's been here for thousands of years and it will continue to be. So we can always be hopeful we're doing something, and I admire all the people that, you know, giving half of their money and all that to poverty, but it's just going to be there. It's a nature of human being to develop themselves and not worry about the other people. There are so many hungry people in the world. One of the biggest things that bothers me is wasting. And people, they say, why are you worried about that? I said, the food that is here is wasted. I don't want that. You should give it to somebody else. So wasting bothers me a lot. Doesn't matter who it is, what it is. It's a question that I always worry about. There are so many hungry people in Iran, in other places. The thing that will help is education.
Yes.
If people are educated, they won't waste. They will take care of each other. And what's lacking in the world is education. Maybe it's because my background, I love people learning and expanding and educating themselves. So hopefully that will help.
How, in your opinion, should be the competition between US and China in the Middle East?
Oh, wow. That's a big subject. America created China as a competitor. They didn't have to do that. But America went for cheaper stuff, cheaper this, cheaper that. And since China was available, They gave him all of this thing. So the Chinese became wealthier. There are more millionaires in China than are in America. There are people that have hundreds of different cars and this and all that. And the poor people in China are suffering. So right now there is a big potential problem in China with ordinary people. I've been to China many times. I had a factory in China. And I think they have kind of two-level thinking in Chinese. President Xi has this idea that there is one China. So Taiwan is going to be part of China. Taiwan is an independent country, so much ahead of every other country in technologies, but they believe that it's going to be one. And America, it says no. They didn't say no, it will be two China, but they said we got to protect Taiwan. And because of that, there is this really fight between America and Beijing. And Beijing is really run by a dictator. He ran about 3 terms for presidency. And now that he got the 3rd term, all of these problems happening in China, very similar to what's happening in Iran. The poor people are saying enough is enough.
Enough, yeah.
Unless Xi changes some of his philosophies, and unless America also changes its leadership to a leadership that is more confrontive to China, it's not going to change. So if America sits back and accepts everything that's going on there and don't push back, they're just going to take more and more and more and more.
What do you think, what are the possible challenges and opportunities other for Middle Eastern countries?
Middle East can be really a pivotal area in the world. You know, they're very wealthy, and mostly wealthy because of oil, gas, oil. I just came from celebration of UAE. They had celebration of, I think, 51 years or so of their UAE. And look what they have created. It was a desert, it was a nothing.
Yes.
And now the tallest buildings are there, the most expensive hotels are there, and a lot of things are there because the government is rich and gives to the people. So they can, if they allow the people to also get educated, to create technologies and not just use the oil money to that. So if they can do that, there is a glimpse of hope happening in Middle East, and that's acceptance of Israel as a country of its own, that's among all the other countries. It's the only country in the world that's a Jewish country. There are 150, 200 Muslim countries. There's only one Jewish country. And even at that, they want to reduce that. So they use anti-Semitism in a different form. They say anti-Zionism. Well, Zionism means people that believe that Israel should exist and should be a Jewish country that allows Jews to come there and live there. That's all it means. It doesn't mean anything else.
Yeah.
So with the Abraham Accord, they got at least 4 different Middle Eastern countries that recognize Israel, and Israel is using its technology to improve their lives. Technologies that helps America, helps every country. They take water from air.
Yes.
Right? They, and Israel took these machines and all that, gave it to India, because there are places that they don't have any water, and they just take the air and take water and you can drink it. So they have created a lot of technologies. So these Arab countries are seeing that it's a positive thing to be friend of Israel. And that could expand. And if Iran just takes away their bad relationship with Israel, which, by the way, they really don't have a bad relationship, they're just using it as an excuse to tell the people that everything that's happening to you is because of Israel. Well, all the other countries are getting advantage. So hopefully Middle East will come up and be more united and accepting of each other.
Saudi Arabia has desalinization plants.
Saudi
Was one of the
Arabia-
first one, right? Yeah.
Actually, Saudi Arabia, in my view, could have been part of the Abraham Accord and would have recognized Israel, because right now they allow flights over Saudi Arabia of Israel Airlines to go over it. The only reason they haven't gone all the way is because of the Saudi Arabia king, older gentleman, still alive. The son cannot go against his father, even though the son, his name is MBS, he's running the country and doing everything. He allowed for the first time women can drive. So he's changing, and I think he's very friendly to Israel. But until his father is alive, he doesn't want to go against that. But he's changed Saudi Arabia a lot.
What do you think is the most important challenge for U.S. security globally?
U.S. security really depends on technologies that we have. If we don't protect that, we will lose it. For years and years, we let China steal all of our technologies, and they do it openly. They have so many Chinese that are in different universities, and they go in as teachers, as this and that, but all the time they're taking the technologies that are created at the university, all these places, send it to China. China actually made a ruling that if government says, give me that information, whatever it is, they have to do that. So, like TikTok.
Yes.
Is it Chinese?
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. And all the information that's in TikTok, if China says, give me who's contacting, who's writing to you, who's saying this, who's doing that, can all go to China. So if we don't protect our technology, we'll lose the advantage that we have.
How would you like to see the world to improve?
They can improve by electing me as the chairman of the world.
Yes.
But I think the world improvement will come again through education. If we can improve education in other countries, there's so much part of the world that doesn't even have internet. They can't even get anything. So a lot of things that Elon Musk is doing, my hat's off to him. He's creating connections through the internet, by satellites and other ways of doing it. So if that happens, the more educated people are, the more independent they are, and they can stop having dictators run their lives. But dictators going to be around. It's all of our lives from beginning to now. It's going to be dictatorship. But the more educated people are, the more improvement, and hopefully the more friendliness will come across. We're all the same. No religion matters. No, nothing else matters. We are the same blood, the same red blood, maybe skin different. We are all the same. So hopefully we'll get to that point that we all realize that we love our neighbors as ourselves.
What will be the best possible scenario of the world development in the next 25 years?
I think conserving the world as is not wasting it, not destroying it. That's what we need going forward. Now you might say, oh, so you want to have electric cars, electric this, electric that. All of that is part of that. So if we continually help conserve what the world has, I think that's what it's going to happen. In the next 20, 30 years, I may not be here, but that's going to happen. Reminds me of a person that's sitting under a tree and enjoying the fruits of the tree, older man, but there's also planting some. The guy says to him, why are you planting trees here? You're not going to be here by the time this has fruit. He said, well, other people planted for me. I want to plant for the future, for them. That's what we need to do. We need to save the world and not waste it. There is a lot of wasting going on. From plastics to this to that, there's a lot of wasting. And hopefully if we bring all of that under control, we can save the world.
Thank you so much for
My
your
pleasure.
time. It was a true honor to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching World Affairs News of the World.